So we're going to talk about playing like a lead instrument, like maybe a wind instrument, a string instrument, brass instrument, that kind of thing. Also, if you're kind of beginner keyboard player, you might just want to use kind of one hand to play out these melodies too. So looking at the song Skies, there's a melodic refrain in the intro here, and it comes back up in the join between the chorus and verses. So that's the main thing we're going to work on here. So the first thing to say is that depending on the instrument you play will affect the notes that you play. So instruments are in different pitches, we call it. So a number of instruments are in concert pitch, so piano, flute, recorder, and many stringed instruments are in concert pitch. When you get into the wind instruments and the brass instruments, sometimes they're in different pitches. So the tenor saxophone, we say, is a B-flat instrument. What that means is when I play a C on my saxophone, it sounds like a B-flat played on one of those concert pitch instruments. So when I play a C, it will sound like a B-flat on a piano or a B-flat on a violin. And so I have to transpose. That's the technical term for what we do. So when I'm playing on my saxophone, I'll play notes that are slightly higher than the notes for the concert pitch instrument. So when I'm going to play an E, my music says E, but it's going to actually sound like a D. So the first thing you need to do with your lead instrument is find out what pitch it is, what kind of instrument, pitched instrument it is, and make sure you play the right notes accordingly. So predominantly, you'll find a number of B-flat instruments like trumpets, tenor saxophone, soprano saxophone, clarinet, a few instruments in E-flat, the main one I can think of being alto sax and baritone sax, and then you get also some horns in the key of F and things like that. So find out what key your instrument's in and transpose the notes accordingly. I've got a few of the main melodic lines written out in concert pitch, B-flat and E-flat, so drop me a comment if you'd like me to share that with you. So the rhythm for Skies is rest, 2 and 3 and 4, rest, 2 and 3 and 4, rest, 2 and 3 and 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. So on the tenor saxophone, that sounds like this. So you want to consider what octave you want to play in, what sort of fits most comfortably. It's possible to play that up an octave on a tenor saxophone, but it's very high, the fingering can be a bit fiddly, and also it's a bit harder to stay in tune. So play around with the different octaves on your instrument and see what sits best there for you. So that refrain comes up a number of times throughout the song, and up until the final chorus, really that's the main thing that will contribute in the Song of Skies, is bringing that refrain in. But in a sense it kind of makes the song, it's the tag that people latch onto and they know what song you're playing. So kind of play it with pride, play it to worship and give it all you've got. In the final chorus, what we can do is a little bit of improvisation. So rather than continuing to play that refrain, although you feel free to do that if you want. So if you listen to the recording, you'll hear that refrain is actually building up during the final choruses. But what we can do is play notes in the same key or scale of the song. So the song is in B minor or D major, and so at concert pitch. So if you learn the notes of D major scale if you're a concert pitch instrument, or the E major scale if you're a B-flat instrument like I am, or the B major scale if you're an E-flat instrument like an alto saxophone. So learn those notes. And the reason I pick on the major scale is that whilst the song has a minor kind of feel to it, typically in worship music, we use the notes from the major scale even when we're playing in a minor key. We just start a little bit lower. So, for instance, I'm going to play the notes of an E major scale, but starting on a C sharp. So listen to how an E major scale sounds. And I'm going to start that on a C sharp, but I'm not going to change any of the notes. That's not your traditional minor scale, but your traditional minor scale has these accidentals in it, which can make it sound a little bit kind of oriental almost, and typically we don't hear that kind of sound when we play in minor keys in modern worship songs. So as that chorus is going on, the thing we think about playing notes from that scale. Now, it might be that I'm not overly confident with that scale, in which case I'm going to move my notes every beat. So just about the pace that I was playing things at there. So the chorus will start on a chord of B minor at concert pitch, that's C sharp minor for me. So I'm going to start on my C sharp, and I'm just going to play around with moving through the different notes. So as long as I keep moving, the notes will probably sound okay. Over time, you'll pick up on perhaps there are some notes which don't fit so well with where the melody's going. If I'm feeling more confident with my instrument, then I'll play in quavers. So that's 8 notes in a bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, starting on the C sharp, we might do something like. If you're feeling really confident or slightly crazy, you could try 16th notes. I don't even know if I could manage that. We'll give it a go, shall we? Something like that, maybe. So that's just for like the very end of the chorus. It's really kind of going quite full on, everything's happening, and so we could just give it all a bit of welly. So some people could still be playing the refrain, other people could be trying out those different paces of notes on those scales. The important thing to note, particularly when playing a lead instrument, is less is more. Playing at the right moment can have the best effect. If you play the whole time, it's almost like you can make no impact at all, because your noise just blends in with the overall sound of the band. If you just pick the parts to play, where we pick up the melodic tag, or we save it all for kind of the last chorus, then we can add an extra layer and lift. And remember, we're playing our instruments to God, and we're playing our instruments to serve the congregation. So the notes that we play and the way that we play it needs to kind of either spur the congregation on and help them to lift their voices to God to praise Him, or it needs to be just a beautiful sound as we pour out our heart to God. And funnily enough, sometimes those two things can conflict. So we can pour our heart out to God on our instrument, but actually we can be playing in a way that's insensitive to the congregation. So we have to watch ourselves there. We're actually firstly there to serve, and we serve by worshipping. And that means we have to give slight consideration to the way that we express that worship to ensure that it is supportive and helpful to the congregation. Absolutely nothing wrong in the kind of comfort of your own home to just play your saxophone or your violin or trumpet or whatever it is that you play. Just, go for it with all you've got in praise of God. But in the context of a worship band, we must give some consideration to the impact and the effect that will have on the others around us.